Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving into a truth that's honestly a little uncomfortable to sit with. And that is this: playing it completely safe is usually the fastest, most guaranteed route to failure. It's a paradox that touches literally everything we do, from the hard-earned money just sitting idle in our bank accounts to our deepest sense of purpose in life. We're all out there seeking enduring value, right? But ironically, the very walls we build to protect that value are often the exact things destroying it.
Just think about your own life for a second. We all have this overwhelming, deeply hardwired instinct to build a massive fortress around what's ours. Our savings, our careers, our relationships. We crave certainty. We want ironclad guarantees. But today we're going to unpack why that exact instinct to hoard and protect actually starves us of the growth we desperately want. By trying to lock everything safely inside the castle walls, we are inadvertently cutting off our own air supply.
And you know, the psychology behind this fear is absolutely fascinating. It's called loss aversion. We see it perfectly in Nobel laureate Daniel Kahneman's famous coin flip experiment. When students were told they'd lose $10 on a tails flip, the sting of that potential loss was so terrifying to them that they demanded a $20 payout just to take the risk. Our brains literally treat minor, everyday setbacks like actual existential threats. We're biologically wired to avoid losing what we have, even if it means missing out on incredible, life-changing gains.
Which brings us to a guiding philosophy from the author of our source newsletter, affectionately known as Papa. Now, in his wisdom, Papa reminds us that seeking enduring value doesn't mean we just recklessly chase pain. You wouldn't leap off a high dive without checking how deep the water is, right? The real secret is taking calculated, survivable risks. Papa teaches us that we have to step to the edge and look closely before we leap, understanding that taking some level of calculated risk is absolutely mandatory if we ever want to build something that lasts.
Author Nassim Taleb famously calls this having skin in the game. True resilience only happens when the people calling the shots actually share in the consequences of those decisions. Because when you keep your skin in the game, you ensure that when a failure inevitably happens, and let's be real, it will, it only sinks a tiny lifeboat, not the entire aircraft carrier. You learn, you adapt, and you survive to sail another day. That is how you find enduring value.
But here is where things get really wild. What if this paradox isn't just about human psychology or business strategy? What if it's baked into the literal laws of physics? Researchers Ilya Krunovich and Roman Lipkin outline this concept called the money paradox. Using the strict laws of thermodynamics, they proved that money cannot be safely stored as accumulated value and actively working as a means of exchange at the exact same time. From a purely physical standpoint, it's just impossible. It all comes down to the stark difference between static and kinetic states. The law of entropy teaches us that hoarded, static money is essentially a frozen tank of water. Eventually, it just stagnates. To create real wealth and vitality, that frozen tank has to thaw out. The river of capital absolutely has to flow. It has to become kinetic, step out of the safe confines of that fortress we talked about, and embrace the messy friction of reality. Growth simply demands movement.
To really picture this, let's time travel back to November 1902, deep in the muddy swamps of Mississippi. President Theodore Roosevelt is on a hunting trip led by legendary tracker and former cavalryman Halt Collier. Now, after an exhausting, days-long chase, Collier's hounds finally corner an old black bear. Collier actually ties the exhausted animal to an oak tree, offering the president an easy, guaranteed shot. It was a completely safe, completely risk-free victory.
But Roosevelt flat-out refused to pull the trigger. By refusing to shoot a tied, defenseless bear, he sacrificed an immediate, selfish trophy, a classic static win. He chose instead to honor his kinetic principles of fair chase. He took the short-term loss of going home empty-handed, even enduring the potential mockery of the press, just to protect his deeper values. He didn't want the illusion of success. He wanted the real thing, earned through legitimate effort.
And you know, that one calculated sacrifice accidentally catalyzed a global phenomenon. A political cartoon about the whole event inspired a Brooklyn candy shop owner named Morris Michtom to create a little stuffed animal called Teddy's Bear. And almost simultaneously in Germany, Richard Steiff designed his own jointed bear. By letting go of a meaningless, short-term trophy, Roosevelt sparked a multi-billion-dollar legacy, the beloved childhood toy we all know today. His choice of enduring value over temporary gain literally changed history.
Now, this principle of kinetic sacrifice isn't just found in physics or history. It echoes back thousands of years into theology. Take a look at the biblical account of Luke 22. Jesus gathers his closest disciples in an upper room for the Passover feast.
heavily preparing them for the immense suffering and profound challenges right around the corner. He knows that ultimate enduring value is on the horizon, but getting there requires stepping directly into the intense friction of a broken world.
And the crucial point Jesus makes here completely flips our normal understanding of power. It's this idea of an upside-down kingdom. In stark contrast to worldly leaders who hoard safety, comfort, and status, he shows his followers that true, enduring authority doesn't come from sitting safely at the head of the table. It actually comes from actively pouring yourself out to serve others. It is the ultimate rejection of the static fortress in favor of a kinetic, flowing, sacrificial life.
As scholars note, this farewell address beautifully parallels ancient literary forms. It offers his disciples a profound promise of glory, but, and this is key, it comes with a massive condition. It absolutely requires them to abandon their pride, their desire for status, and their stubborn illusion of self-sufficiency. They simply cannot hold on to their selfish ambitions and still grasp the enduring value he's offering them. They literally have to let go of their frozen potential.
The text highlights a dramatic reversal. Jesus uses the metaphor of purchasing a sword to signal a massive, fundamental shift in their reality. He's telling his followers, look, you can no longer expect a peaceful, static existence in a fortress. Instead, they have to bravely engage with a highly dynamic and often deeply hostile world. True impact is found out there, in the messy, risky reality of everyday life, not in hiding away from the storm.
So, when we pull all of this together, from the cold, hard laws of thermodynamics to Roosevelt's bear in the Mississippi mud, all the way to ancient theology, the formula for enduring value becomes brilliantly clear. You have to check the water before you dive. You absolutely must get your skin in the game. You have to lead by pouring yourself out. And above all, you have to keep the river flowing. Never, ever let your resources, your talents, or your heart stagnate in the illusion of safety.
I want to leave you with this final Papa-inspired thought as we wrap up this explainer. If hoarding potential energy really is the slowest, most comfortable form of failure, take a hard look at the landscape of your own life. Ask yourself right now, what illusions of safety do you need to abandon today so you can finally step out of the fortress and find true, enduring value?